Hey guys, welcome to HandyDadTV. I'm Chris Hyder, and today I'm going to show you how I built this trellis. Now this plant here, this is a clematis, which is a woody vine that is very popular here in the northeast of the US. And it grows like a weed, even though we cut it down every year, and it outgrew what was here before. So I needed to replace that old trellis with something more substantial. And that's how I came up with this design.
Although we cut the plant back every year, this clematis would outgrow this old metal trellis and start hanging over the sidewalk by the end of June. I knew it needed a new solution, and fast, because it had already started growing early this spring. The inspiration for this design came from this picture from this old house that I found on Pinterest. Although the picture lives on, I couldn't find the original article or the plan, so I had to design it myself. This isn't a big garden, but I could fit a trellis about 4 feet wide. And that would work well for me because I could use 8-foot lumber cut in half with no waste. I'm using 4x4 pressure-treated posts set on these 8x8 blocks as footings. The blocks prevent the posts from sinking deeper into the soil. After determining the placement of the blocks, I decided to sink them about a foot into the ground using a post hole digger. I had no obstructions on the right side, but on the left side, I have a 220-volt electric line running to my pool pump. Not something that I wanted to relocate, and I definitely didn't want to hit it. So I dug very carefully by hand and made sure the block was placed next to the conduit, not on top of it. I needed to use 1x2 lumber for the slats, but I could only find 1x4 and 1x6 at my local Home Depot. So I ripped 1x6 boards into 3 pieces on my table saw. If you don't have a table saw, you can probably get your home center or lumberyard to rip them for you. The top and bottom rails are made from a 2x6, and they needed to be curved. My radius calculator came in handy to mark the line. I'll put a link in the video description, but in a nutshell, it figures out how long a string I need to mark the curved line. I cut the curve with my jigsaw. Then I used the top piece to mark the same curve on the bottom rail and cut it the same way with the jigsaw. With the frame of the trellis laying on the driveway, I cut all the 1x2 lattice pieces with my miter saw. Then I cut spacer blocks from scraps to ensure that everything was positioned evenly. Then I took all the pieces into the garage for staining. Here I'm using a brad point drill bit to countersink pilot holes for the lattice panel to be attached later. I decided to use a bare, semi-transparent waterproofing stain and sealer on this project. It's a water-based stain, custom mixed in a variety of colors. I'm using a color called russet, as in potato. Since I was working alone, I built little jigs that I could clamp to the post to help me position the rails correctly. After drilling pilot holes through the posts, I drove 1/2 inch by 8 inch exterior lag screws through the posts and into the rails. I'm not building anything structural here, so 1 lag screw in the end of each rail would be plenty. With the frame assembled face down, I laid out the lattice pieces using my spacer blocks, making sure to put the best sides facing down. Once I was 100% sure of the layout, I proceeded to screw all the lattice pieces together with 1¼ inch exterior deck screws. With the lattice all screwed together, I removed it so the trellis would be lighter to muscle into place. I didn't put the posts very deep into the ground because I planned on attaching the top of the trellis to the house. After measuring the distance to the house, I cut a couple of spacers from plastic electrical conduit. I then drilled a pilot hole through the top rail, then a smaller hole into the wall. Then I drove a lag screw through the conduit using my impact wrench. I did the same thing on the other side. Using a 4-foot level, I made sure the posts were plumb before backfilling the dirt. The lattice assembly was then attached with 6 2.5-inch deck screws into the countersunk holes that I drilled before staining. I hung a drop cloth to protect the house and gave all the visible parts of the trellis a second coat of stain, which really made it look awesome. For the finishing touch, I bought 2 copper post caps and stained the wood trim on them to match. They're like the cherry on top of the sundae. You can see how much the plant has grown in just 2 weeks. I built this trellis just in time. If you want to build an exact copy of this project, just go to my website, HandyDad.tv/trellis. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share. Thanks. Visit my website, HandyDad.tv, for more great ideas and information. Be sure to subscribe to be the first to know when new videos are posted.